Oh, you want to know how far that is? You guys want to borrow my brand new Bushnell rangefinder? It's either a nuke or a pig. You know what? I'll shoot with my rangefinder. 120 feet? Yeah, that's a nuke. Looks like that tree's about 63 yards away. Oh, sorry, I got it in yards because it was cheaper than getting the foot one. You guys think I'm outside on this one? You know what? I'll just hit it with my rangefinder. It's gonna be close. You know what? I'll just walk it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today, we're going to dive into an interesting video that is all about knowledge in disc golf. The longer that I play and the more that I coach, I realize that our sport is becoming inundated with help me with the words, please. There's a lot of information out there. When we're talking about the biomechanics and fine-tunings of the form with the scapulary retraction and making sure that things are folding into place. These are all great facts about helping us improve our game, but they take a lot of time to implement and they are very tough to nail down, which is why only really the best players, the 0.01% of our sport, all have them nailed down. So while we can focus on that information, and I think it's super valuable for us to learn about it in the future, I want to talk about 3 aspects of your game that if you know them, learn them, and actually focus on them, you are going to see a change in your scores for the better as soon as possible, rather than spending the months and years that it takes to nail down those finer biomechanics. So let's stop having me fail with the English language and dive right in. The first thing you need to know about your game, and it's kind of cliche, is simply how far do you throw? One of my favorite questions we ask on the In the Bag podcast is how far do you throw controllable golf distance? While it is impressive that one time with a massive tailwind downhill you threw 450 feet, that's not what I'm talking about. If you step up in a flat field and you threw the same disc 5 times, what is the average distance going to be of that disc? And notice that I'm phrasing it that way as well. I'm not just asking what your max control distance is, I'm wondering how far you throw every single disc in your bag. How far do your fairways go? And what lines can the Blue Eagle hold that the Pretty Eagle cannot? I might be able to throw this Raptor 320 feet, but at what distance does it start becoming overstable? We poked a little bit of fun of it in the intro, but there are tons of players out there who are buying these rangefinders, and I honestly believe that it's hurting a lot of people's game more than it's helping them. I am all for having information while you're out there on the course, because the better the information you have, the better you have a chance to score. But the key there is having better information. Simply knowing how far away the tree that you have to miss is, or how far the basket is from where you're currently standing, means absolutely nothing if you don't know how far you throw your disc. So I highly suggest heading to a field with a stack of cones and your bag. Set up different distance markers and thresholds so that when you throw all of those discs, you take note of when they start to break off to the right and when they start to fade back to the left. Unless you're left-handed and in your right mind and then switch that break and fade thing. You know what I'm saying. It's important to know those control distances because when you step up to a tee shot, knowing how far you can throw the disc can make all the difference on what disc you're supposed to throw on that hole. Take hole 7 for instance. 281 feet, slightly downhill with a beautiful double mando being the staple of this hole. Can I throw multiple putters 280 feet while going downhill? Sure, that's definitely in the realm of possibility. But does that mean a putter is the right disc for this hole? Not necessarily. I can throw an origin 30 to 40 feet farther than this hole is asking me to throw, which means that by coming off of this disc just a little bit, I'm going to have more control for the shot, which should create more consistent and better results overall. But I only know that because I've spent time learning how far and what shots I can throw these discs on. Are the putter shots good shots for this hole? Well, in the grand scheme of things, they got through the mandos and gave me an open, clear look at the basket, so I'm never going to be upset with that, especially on this hole. But the difference between having to throw the putter at a full power shot versus being able to come off of the origin and have some control, I will take that result every day of the week. Plus, it came past the basket, which means that it had a chance to go in the basket, and a 1 would have been better than a 2, which is better than a 3. But I'll take an easy controlled shot for the origin, even if it nets me a 3 every day of the week. Now, while it's important to know how far you throw the disc, if you don't throw it in off the tee box, that leads us to our second thing that you need to know about your game, which is that you need to know what your putt feels like when it's good. If you've watched any Pro Tour coverage after a first or second round, or talked to anyone who's been doing well after the first round of a tournament, you've probably heard them say something like this. Hey Calvin, Terry Miller here with the Disc Golf Network. You had the hot round today. Tell me a little bit about it. Yeah, it was a pretty electric round. Nerves were definitely all over the place, but my putt was feeling pretty good. I don't know that I've ever been more excited than I am in this moment right here. So what does it mean for your putt to, quote, feel good? sometimes as players, we can get so fixated on the result of a putt that we forget what a good, clean putting stroke feels like in our game. My putting stroke felt pretty decent on both of those putts, and noticed that one didn't go in and one did. If we are simply focused on the result of the putt, we are going to be changing our putting stroke all throughout the round and every single time that we play, which will never bring us to consistent results in putting. But if you spend some time on a practice putting green and you're taking note of when your body feels like everything is aligning in the proper motion, the disc is coming clean out of your hand, don't pay attention to the fact that the disc is simply going in the basket. Take note of what is happening with your body while it's going in the basket. Then when you find yourself out on the course, all you need to do is find that clean putting stroke, because when you know what that good putt feels like, you also know that that leads to the disc going in the basket eventually. The first two are things that you should know before you walk into your round, but I want to talk about something for the last point that you should focus on after your round. I believe the last thing you need to know about your game are your 3 best shots from the last round. If you were playing a par 3 course and you birdied every single hole, you would throw 36 shots while you were out there on the course. But even with that amazing of a round, I can almost guarantee you that at least 1 or 2 of those shots wouldn't have gone how you wanted them to go. It could be a low putt that barely went in, you threw a zone that got a little bit off of its line. It is so easy for us as human beings to focus on the negatives of the round. We let those terrible shots live rent-free in our head and detract from all of the great shots that we threw throughout the round, which does not help our confidence or our game. In fact, I played with a friend the other day and kept saying how bad my putt was during the round. Oh, I rolled my ankle. Durability of the ankle, TBD, but that was a great shot. So let's segue over there to talk about the rest of the points. We were on hole 11 and I kept talking about how bad my putt was that day because I had missed putts that I felt like I should have made on holes 5 and 6. But as the conversation went on, I realized that I made a 25-footer on hole 2, I made about a 35-footer on hole 3, and really had sunk some pretty great putts throughout the rest of the round. But I was focusing on the missed putts rather than thinking, I am a good putter. This is what I need. And it was detracting from my overall confidence. My friend reminded me of the good putts. I got back into a right mind and proceeded to birdie the next 4 holes. But that doesn't make me the hero of the story. I didn't have the mental strength to focus on those good shots. It was solely my friend reminding me of this exact point. So thank you, Bree. You're a rock star. When we get to the end of the round, there is certainly a time to think about what we can focus on in the future to improve our game. Are you the worst upshotter in the Southeast? It's okay for you to work on that. But those are not our takeaways from the round. That simply builds a checklist of what we need to work on next time we go to the field. The takeaway from the round is that you did at least 3 things really well, because I can guarantee you that even during your worst round possible, 3 times you did what you were planning to do. And yes, pitching back out to the middle of the fairway from the rough counts as a good shot if it's what you were planning to do. Those are the thoughts that build our confidence. And if you haven't gathered really the whole heart of this video, when we play with confidence, we are going to start playing better. So let me add one last piece of clarification before we close out today's video. I am not saying you shouldn't get out there and try to learn proper biomechanics to change your form. There is a place for that, and it definitely will help improve your game. But I truly stand by today's 3 points that if you focus on them and really hone in your distances and what your good stroke feels like, you are going to see dramatic improvements in your game, and you're going to see your options for those 3 best shots drastically increase as you play your round. I am so grateful for each and every one of you for tuning in, and thank you for watching as always. To our stateside friends, I hope you had an incredible 4th of July week, and to our global friends, I hope you had an amazing week as well. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great time going out there and learning your distances. But for now, I'm going to leave you with the birdie.